Today I will be talking about Achintya-Bhedābheda, the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kṛṣṇa is Swayam Bhagwan, the complete and supreme personality of the Absolute, and everything that exists is related to him as his Shakti. Kṛṣṇa and his Shakti are simultaneously different and non-different, or bheda. The precise manner in which this difference and non-difference coexist is Achintya, or inconceivable. This relationship is expressed through the relation of Shaktiman, the possessor of energy, and Shakti, his energy. The energy is inseparable from its possessor while possessing its own distinct form and function. The fire and heat analogy illustrates this relationship. Heat is inseparable from fire while remaining distinguishable as its potency. Kṛṣṇa's energies are principally understood in three forms: Chit Shakti, the internal spiritual potency; Jiva Shakti, the marginal potency; and Maya Shakti, the external potency. They are the three manifestations of his own energetic power. The Jiva is Kṛṣṇa's marginal potency. It is conscious, yet it is minute and dependent. Its constitutional nature is Nityadasa, eternal service to Kṛṣṇa. Its bheda relationship with Kṛṣṇa follows directly from its status as Shakti. The Jiva is non-different from Kṛṣṇa as his energy, but different from him as an individual conscious being. The traditional analogy is a ray of sunshine in relation to the sun, or a spark in relation to a fire. It possesses the nature of its source while remaining minute and distinct. The marginal character of the Jiva concerns its relation to the two conditions of existence. It can participate in spiritual existence or become covered by avidya, through which it experiences material existence and the threefold miseries. Its bondage therefore consists in the covering of its constitutional consciousness. Its liberation consists in the restoration of its relationship with Kṛṣṇa. The material cosmos is a manifestation of Kṛṣṇa's Maya Shakti. Maya is an actual potency of the Lord, but it does not operate independently. Kṛṣṇa's will, knowledge, and creative power bring about the cosmic manifestation through his various expansions and energies. Kṛṣṇa possesses three chief powers in the creative process: will, knowledge, and creative action. Kṛṣṇa is the predominator of will, Vasudeva is associated with knowledge, and Sankarshana or Balram predominates the creative energy. The combination of supreme will, knowledge, and activity produces the cosmic manifestation. Sankarshana is described as the cause of both spiritual and material creation. Through the spiritual potency, he manifests the spiritual world. Through the external potency, the material universes are manifested. The material creation then proceeds through the Purusha expansions. Mahavishnu presides over the total material energy, and from him innumerable universes emanate. Garbhodakashri Vishnu enters each universe. Shirodakashayi Vishnu enters every living being as Paramatma and pervades the universe. Thus creation is the manifestation of Kṛṣṇa's energy under his control. The external potency supplies the material basis and develops into the cosmic elements, while the Lord's will and expansions provide the conscious direction and causal power. Creation, maintenance, and annihilation are therefore activities of Kṛṣṇa's Achintya Shaktis. The material world consequently has a real ontological status as Kṛṣṇa's energy, while remaining distinct from his spiritual personality and internal spiritual potency. Kṛṣṇa's spiritual form is Satchitananda, eternal existence, consciousness, and bliss. The one internal spiritual potency expresses these three dimensions through Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. Sandhini is the potency of spiritual existence. It provides the basis through which Kṛṣṇa and the spiritual environment poses their eternal existence. Samvit is the potency of spiritual cognition. It gives knowledge of Kṛṣṇa and the relationships that constitute spiritual reality. Hladini is the potency of divine bliss. Its fullest expression is love of Kṛṣṇa. Thus Satitananda is not merely an abstract description of God's nature. It becomes a dynamic spiritual reality through the three aspects of his internal potency. The threefold classification of internal, marginal, external, and the threefold classification of Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini therefore operate at different levels. The first describes Krishna's principal energies in relation to reality, while the second describes the principal functions of the internal spiritual potency. Ladini reaches its fullest expression as prema, which develops through bhava into mahabhava. Radha is the embodiment of this supreme mahabhava and therefore represents the fullest manifestation of Krishna's bliss-giving potency. Radha is simultaneously Krishna's own internal potency and Krishna's distinct beloved. This is the most intimate manifestation of Shakti, Shaktiman-Bhedabheda. Radha is inseparable from Krishna because she is his own Hladini Shakti, yet the distinction between lover and beloved is necessary for reciprocal love. Radha and Krishna therefore appear as two while remaining one in underlying identity. Their distinction generates the possibility of rasa, while their underlying unity makes their relationship an internal divine relationship rather than a relation between two independent absolutes. The many expansions of Radha's potency likewise provide the plurality of personalities through which Krishna's different varieties of loving exchange are manifested. Krishna's relationship with Radha produces the theological basis for Chaitanya. Krishna possesses the fullness of divine existence, knowledge, and bliss, yet he desires to experience the greatness of Radha's love, his own sweetness as perceived through her love, and the happiness she experiences in loving him. He therefore appears with Radha's mood and complexion, combining Krishna and his supreme devotee within one manifestation. Chaitanya consequently represents the meeting of Bhagwan and his Hladini potency in the experience of prema. The theology of Radha Krishna is thus not peripheral to Achintya-Bhedabheda, it provides its fullest personal and relational expression. The jiva's fundamental relationship with Krishna is recovered through sambandha, the knowledge of its actual constitutional relationship with him. Abheda is the practice appropriate to that relationship, devotional service. Prayojana is the attainment of prema, in which the jiva fully experiences its relationship with Krishna. Liberation therefore culminates in restored spiritual identity and loving participation in Krishna's eternal activities in Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme abode of Krishna. The jiva remains a distinct individual because its distinctness is part of its constitutional relationship with Krishna. Its non-difference consists in its eternal dependence upon and belonging to him as his potency. The highest state is consequently service saturated with prema, expressed through the various forms of relationships, which are also called rasa. The five rasas are Shanta, neutral reverence and peaceful appreciation, Dasya, servitude, Sakhya, friendship, Vatsalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love. The liberated jiva participates in Krishna's Leela according to its rasa rather than losing its individuality. And now, friends, the nail in the coffin. Jiva Goswami, an esteemed figure, had said that absolute difference cannot work because it removes the inseparability of Shakti and Shaktiman, while absolute identity cannot work because it removes their distinction. But this is more of an emotional assertion rather than an argument. Just because absolute difference removes inseparability, and absolute identity removes distinction doesn't mean the logical answer is to stay in the middle. Rejecting two extremes does not prove that their combination is true. You still have to demonstrate why bheda and abheda can actually coexist in the same relation. That is precisely what remains unestablished. And as for the Shakti has its own manifestations and functions, Therefore, Shakti is distinct from Shaktiman argument. Just because something has a distinct function or manifestation doesn't mean it's distinct from what it belongs to or what it comes from. For example, I can exert kinetic energy on a ball and make it bounce. The kinetic energy has a distinct effect. We can observe it when it is manifested, measure it, describe it, and distinguish its function. But does that mean the energy is a separate entity existing alongside me? No. Its being distinguishable in function does not establish that it is ontologically distinct from its source. So the same question applies here. How does having a distinct function or manifestation establish bheda? It doesn't. If the argument is simply that Shakti has its own form and function, then that is a description of how Shakti operates. It does not by itself prove that Shakti is ontologically distinct from Shaktiman. And then comes Achintya. The precise relation between Shakti and Shaktiman is declared inconceivable. But that doesn't solve the problem. If you cannot explain how bheda and abheda can simultaneously obtain, calling their relation Achintya doesn't establish that they can. It simply tells us you don't possess a conceptually satisfactory answer. Hence, unfortunately, bheda remains logically unestablished.